Good morning. My name is Sarah Hagee. I'm the Executive Director here with the Electrical Association of Philadelphia. This morning, I am joined by my colleague, Matt Dybert, our Program Manager, and of course, our presenter, Rob McGinnis with Lutron. First, I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to Billows Electric Supply for their sponsorship of today's session, as well as all of their support over the past years with the EAP since I've been aboard, and certainly longer than that. Again, because we are recording today's session, we cannot hear you, we cannot see you, but that does not mean we don't want questions. Use that chat feature. We'll be fielding questions primarily towards the end of today's dynamic session. So with that, I am going to turn it over. Well, first, I'm going to introduce our presenter, Rob McGinnis. He is the Regional Sales Manager with Electrical Wholesale. Rob's been with Lutron for the past 5 years and has a background in the retail industry. So with that, please join me in welcoming Rob. Take it away, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I did have an introduction, but that works perfectly. My name is Rob McGinnis. I started with the electrical distribution channel in late July of last year. Moved back to the East Coast, currently residing in the Fairmount area of Philadelphia. So I am local. When I took the role in May of 2017, I actually moved out to Southern California. So it is nice to be back on the East Coast, growing up in Northeastern Pennsylvania. So today I'm going to be talking to you, I'm going to switch spots here, about Lutron's newest and greatest. It is called Sunnata. I do understand that you can't necessarily see it. When I demo it, I will turn off the lights so you can see everything better. This is an intuitive touch dimmer. Sunnata was actually introduced in late 2019. It did really well in the retail channel, did not do as well in distribution. A few reasons for that. When it was introduced, it was a single pole only dimmer. You could pair it with an existing mechanical three-way switch. However, with the intuitive touch design, the sleek touch bar, and the glow bar, it did not look nice in homes that had multi-locations because you're just pairing it with an everyday toggle switch. So recently, Lutron relaunched the entire Sunnata line, starting first with the LED Plus dimmer, and that was launched in November of last year. We also introduced a Sunnata Pro and a Sunnata 6-amp switch. And for those of you that are familiar with our Radio Raw line, which is for luxury residential homes up to 10,000 square feet, we recently launched Radio Raw 3, which has the Sunnata design. So it is a touch dimmer. We also have really nice touch keypads. So for those of you that are familiar with Raw, you're going to see a lot more of this Sunnata design. I'm not saying anything, but for commercial projects, you might see this in the next few years. So before I get into explaining our Sunnata LED Plus dimmer and what's new, I'm going to throw up a quick poll. Okay. So as I mentioned, we relaunched this Sunnata. It does have a new model number. The new model number is STCL-153M. Similar to the last Sunnata, this is a 150-watt LED dimmer. It controls 600 watts of incandescent and halogen. Much like most Lutron LED Plus dimmers, it does not require a neutral. It has a high and a low end trim feature, which I will showcase in a little bit. Put that down. It has, unfortunately, this is an older demo when it was first launched, but it does have a 30-second delayed fade to off feature, much like our Maestro products. So for those of you that are familiar with Maestro, there's actually a feature that you can hold down, and it's the same for this. You just press the bottom tap switch for about 6 seconds, hold it down, and then it creates a delayed fade to off. And what that means is when you turn the dimmer off, it takes 30 seconds for your lights to slowly turn off. So if you're trying to get the kids out of the house, really nice feature to have on these dimmers. And this is part of the new LED Plus dimmers. What's great about the new launch is we now have what's called accessory switches. Much like Maestro has companion dimmers, Sunnata LED Plus now has accessory switches. And you can pair up to 9 accessory switches. So you can have a 10-way. Why you would have a 10-way, I'm not sure, but you can if you would like. Unlike Maestro, where you actually need a jumper wire with the installation, this does not require a jumper wire. Now, I know what you're thinking. accessory dimmers. These are not actually accessory dimmers. These are just accessory switches, but there are some features with the accessory switch that can make it seem like a dimmer. For example, with Sunnata, there is a preset feature, which I will show you in a little bit. What this means is when you turn on your lights, you can have it set to wherever you set it when you turn them off. So if you like your lights at a 50% dim, you can actually do that. And from the accessory switch, from all 9 of them, when you tap it on once, it will go to that preset. A simple double tap will turn your lights fully on from the LED plus dimmer or the accessory switch. The LED plus dimmer can be placed on either the load side or the line side. It also has no wire rating, so if you're using 12.2, 12.3 Romex, it does not matter. And that goes for all of our LED plus dimmers. We do have a patented 2-wire technology that prevents dimmer interaction, flicker, and shimmer. So you have beautiful LED dimming. And all Lutron LED plus dimmers are UL listed to control over 800 bulbs. To put this in perspective, on average, our competition is UL listed to control about 100 bulbs. Something Lutron does is we will never say that we're universal. Reason being, people are constantly coming out and manufacturing LED bulbs, so we don't want to say we work with every LED bulb. We do, however, have somebody at Coopersburg, which is where we're headquartered, that tests new bulbs that come to market on a daily basis. You could not pay me enough to have that job, but someone does do that. And we do have a Lutron compatibility tool for LED bulbs. If you go to lutron.com/LED finder, you can actually search by your dimmer or search by the LED bulb that you have. On top of this, we have 24/7 technical support and customer service. It is all based in the United States with offices, of course, in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. And then recently, a few years ago, we opened up offices in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can call any time of the year. I call them at least twice a week. And they are great to work with. And then finally, if that's not enough, if you go to lutron.com/support, it will literally take you and walk you step by step on how to install a LED plus dimmer or any type of dimmer. It asks you if it has screw terminals or wires. I've done it 1,000 times. It is very simple. I do not have an electrical background, and I'm able to install our dimmers, so if that's any consolation. So now, without further ado, I am going to quickly turn off the lights, and I'm going to show you 5 different features with this Sunnata dimmer. I'm going to show you how to adjust the low-end trim, how to adjust the high-end trim, and then there's 3 features through what's called advanced programming mode. I will get into those real quick. I'm going to turn off the lights. 1 second. Okay, so I know that you can't see me quite as well, but I hope that you can see the dimmer. So I am going to turn it on. So the first thing I'm going to do is adjust the low end trim. What this does, when you buy an LED dimmer or an LED bulb, they don't always match up with compatibility. You might have had an experience where you turn your dimmer all the way down and the bulb is still kind of bright, or vice versa, you turn your dimmer all the way down and the bulb turns completely off. With every single Lutron LED plus dimmer, we have what's called a low end trim. If you're Diva, if you use Divas quite often, it's actually inside of the faceplate to the bottom left. It's a little lever. If you're an Ariadne customer, it is actually to the right of the toggle switch, and you can see the plus or minus. The plus is going to give it a little bit more power. The minus is going to decrease. So for Sunnata, a little bit different. You can actually do it from the product itself. So hopefully you're able to see this. So I'm going to bring it in as close as possible. This has a little glow bar. You're going to touch right in the center of the glow bar here for about 6 seconds. The glow bar will start to flash to show me that I'm in the low end trim feature. So you could see the flash. So you can see the bulb is still kind of bright. What this is showing me is what my dimmer is going to look like when it's at its lowest setting. So Still kind of bright here. I'm going to adjust it down. So you can see it's barely got a glow, a really, really nice low dim. Obviously, being a demo, they send us the best bulbs, but it is now set. Once it is set, you can tap the off button to set that low end. And now look, so now my dimmer is at its lowest setting. And you could see it's a very nice low dim. Another feature that we have that not many people are familiar with, we also have it with our Maestro line, is what's called a high-end feature. What this is for, oftentimes with LEDs being super bright, you can actually adjust it so it never goes above a certain threshold. In order to access this, similar to the low end, you actually just tap the top glow bar and you hold that in for about 6 seconds. And once again, the lights will start to flash after about 6 to 10 seconds. I say 6 to 10 just to be safe because I did just accidentally tap it. So we're gonna redo it. And once it starts to flash, you can actually adjust. So you can see it's flashing real quick. Hopefully you can see that. Obviously virtual, it's not as easy to see, but I promise you the glow bar is flashing. We're going to adjust this. The bulb is super bright. I'm going to adjust it down so that now when I turn my dimmer on to its brightest setting, it is not quite as bright. And once that is set, once again, keeping with tradition, you just tap the off button. So now we've got a really nice low dim, and you bring it all the way up and it's not quite as bright. So it's really perfect to create a nice ambiance. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you, I'm actually going to switch sides because I'm a righty here. So you may or may have not noticed, with Sunnata, you've got a really nice little glow bar. There's 3 different features that I'm going to set. This is what's called advanced programming mode. In order to access this, you have to pull out what we call the front accessible service switch. This is in our Maestro line, it's in our Caséta line, it's also in our Sunnata line. This cuts the power to the bulb. So if you're moving your bulbs, it's a great little feature just because you're not going to burn your hands. It is directly below the Sunnata switch. So I'm going to pull that out. After pulling that out, I'm going to tap the bottom of the Sunnata switch and hold it in for 6 seconds as I push the FAS or front accessible service switch back in. We're just going to call it a FAS just to save some time here. So 6 seconds as I push it in, you will see a little glow, which shows that we are in advanced programming mode. While we're in that mode, there's 3 different things I'm going to show you. So the first one at the bottom is the preset, which is great because it sets your lights to a preset dim. So I'm going to pull this FOSS out. As I said, it cuts the power. I'm sorry, there's no light here. All you could hear is my voice. I'm pushing the bottom of the Sunnata tap switch, and I'm pushing the FOSS back in. So you will see a small glow at the bottom. So you could see that it's glowing at the bottom. What we need to do is say to the advanced programming mode what we're trying to adjust. So the bottom is the preset. So I'm going to say, yes, I'm adjusting that. I'm going to tap the bottom to say that's what I'm trying to adjust. So tap, and now you can see the glow bar is flashing. This is telling us what we want to preset. So I'm going to set it down to about 50%. So you can see it's at about 50%, and then I'm going to tap the off button. Now this brings us back to the advanced programming mode. I could do all 3 right from here, but just to reiterate and just to try to get it through your minds a little bit better, I'm going to get out of the advanced programming mode and redo it 2 more times. To get out of it, you hold in the off button or the bottom tap for 6 seconds. Okay, and now look, it's at the preset, it's halfway. So I can turn it off. When I tap it on, it goes to my preset. When I double tap, it goes fully on. This is great to show you because we did just introduce these 9 accessory switches which you can pair. So that preset is really a nice little feature. The next feature I'm going to show you is you can actually adjust the brightness of the glow bar as you are dimming it. So if you don't want your finger to look quite as bright when you're dimming, you can actually adjust that. That's going to be in the center. So the same process, I'm going to pull out the FOSS. You do need to have nails, which is why it takes me a little bit longer. Push in the off button at the bottom and then push back in the FOSS for 6 seconds. You will see the glow bar flashes and then it will go to the bottom. So we just did the preset, which is at the bottom. Now we want to adjust the glow, which is in the center. So I'm going to tap the center. And now we're going to say, yes, this is what I want to adjust by tapping the off button. So you can see the glow is at a low glow. I'm going to adjust it so that it's brighter and go all the way to the top here. I'm going to say, yes, this is what we want by tapping off. And now I'm going to hold in the off button to get out of the advanced programming mode. So not a huge difference, but you should be able to see that glow bar is, when I touch it, excuse me, is a little bit brighter. You can see it's kind of vibrant. Obviously, being virtual, not as easy to tell, and I've got a bright bulb here, but I promise you it is much brighter. And then finally, the last feature, my personal favorite feature, is this dimmer has what we would call a night light or glow bar. This is great for different demographics. Me, personally, I have some really good friends that have just become parents. So when the mothers feed in the middle of the night, it's great to be able to see your dimmer, to be able to tap the glow bar, not have it be super bright. You feed the baby at 2 in the morning and then you're able to go back to sleep instead of, as a lot of people are familiar with, if you have a switch, you're waking yourself up. So this is going to adjust the glow bar. Push out the FOSS once again. Push it back in as you hold the bottom off button. 6 seconds. This feature is going to be the one at the top. So we're going to go to the top here. It is flashing, and then you want to say, yes, this is what I'm adjusting, and just tap it. And it's kind of towards the bottom. I'm going to adjust it so it's more towards the top. Once it's set, press the off button to say, yes, it's set. Now you're back in advanced programming mode, and we're just going to hold in the off button. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. You've got a nice glow there. I'm going to turn this on, and I hate to do this because I just did all this work, but if you decide, somebody new, if you have rentals and a new tenant moves in and they say, I don't like this dimmer, can you adjust it? There is a reset to factory mode, much like Caséta. You tap the bottom button 3 times and hold it on the 3rd hold. The glow bar will flash, and then you tap 3 more times and it'll flash a few more times to tell you that you have reset it. So I did all that work and I'm just going to reset it for all intents and purposes. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to hold, and you'll see the glow bar will start to flash. 1, 2, 3. And then it goes up and down. It does a ton of crazy little movements there. That is to show that we have reset it to factory settings. I'm going to turn the light back on so you can see me. One moment. Cool. Okay. So that is the Sunnata LED Plus dimmer. As I mentioned, you can do up to a 10-way. On top of that, we also came out with a new Sunnata Pro dimmer. The model number for this is ST-PRO-N. The N stands for neutral wire. So the difference between the Pro and the LED Plus dimmer, one, it does have to be installed on the load side. 2, it does require a neutral wire. So we wanted to do this because we have accessory dimmers or companion dimmers that go with this. And we wanted to have the glow bars on the companion dimmers. Before I forget with that, this controls 250 watts of LED, 500 watts of electronic low voltage incandescent halogen, and 400 watts of magnetic low voltage. I do want to make a quick note. Whenever I say LED, I'm also including CFL. I don't know if anyone's still using CFL, but just in case. As I mentioned, this must be installed on the load side, and it does require a neutral for all load types, unlike the Maestro Pro, which is neutral optional. What's really nice about this dimmer, and I don't have a demo because it's brand new, it looks very similar to this, is it's phase selectable. So if you have a job and you don't know the load that you're controlling, whether it's reverse phase, magnetic forward phase, or it's magnetic low voltage, this is a one-stop shop. I would say 0 to 10 volt is the one that it does not control. However, there is something that you can add as an interface to control 0 to 10 volt. However, residentially speaking, we don't see 0 to 10 volt control all that often. These dimmers, the pros and the accessory companion dimmers, have screw terminals for easy wiring. It has multi-location control with the companion dimmers. And as I mentioned, the companion dimmers actually have the dimming glow bar. So you can dim from multi-locations. And with these, you can add up to 4 companion dimmers. The companion dimmer model number is ST-RD. So you can have up to 5 fully dimmable Pro dimmers. And what's really nice about this is the glow bar tracks. What I mean by that is, if you have a 5-gang box and you've got 1 Sunnata Pro and 4 Sunnata companion dimmers, and you set the light level halfway, it will be the exact same on all 5. And as you adjust it, it adjusts on all of those. So really just a nice aesthetically pleasing looking dimmer. It does have the same features with the LED Plus in terms of the low-end trim, the high-end trim, and the 3 advanced features that I walked you through. Finally, the newest addition to our line is the Sunnata switch. The model number is ST-6ANS. This is for your switching non-dim loads or your small motor loads. It is 6 amps. It is to be installed on the load side, much like the Maestro Pro. So the LED Plus is the only one that it doesn't matter whether it's line side or load side. And much like the Sunnata Pro, this also requires a neutral wire. You can pair these with up to 4 Sunnata companion switches. It does match the Sunnata aesthetic. It has a little glow at the top. However, it does not have the full bar because it is for switching only. Much like the Sunnata Pro, it has screw terminals for easy wiring. It has an identical companion switches. Their model numbers are ST-RS. You can pair these with up to 4, so a total of a 5-way. The one thing I will note, this cannot be used with a standard existing mechanical switch. So you can only pair these if you're doing multi-location control with the ST-RS, the Sunnata companion switches. And to that point, I know I went through some model numbers. The LED Plus dimmers can only be paired with the LED accessory switches. The Sunnata Pro dimmers can only be paired with the Sunnata companion dimmers, and the Sunnata switches can only be paired with the companion switches. You cannot mix and match. It will not work. So full disclosure there. So that is my presentation on Sunnata. I'm going to do a quick little overview of something that I'm hopeful that you've all heard of, Caséta. So I'm going to move this over. Once again, I am going to turn off the lights just because there's some nice features here. I am limited with my pool, but I want to show you 2 things about Caséta that you may or may not know. The first is the multi-location control. The beauty of Caséta, first and foremost, is you can do multi-location control up to a 10-way by simply pressing down a button. So in the Caséta bridge kit, you're getting a Caséta dimmer, you're getting a pico remote, and you're getting a bridge. This is what a pico remote looks like. I'm going to take it out of the Claro wall plate here. So I'm sure you've seen these. These are what we call our picos. I have a wall box adapter inside of this Claro wall plate. So what's great is if you've ever come across a situation where you need to add a point of control or you need a secondary switch, you don't want to run wire, you don't want to rip out drywall, you don't have to repaint, this is by far the best solution. It slides into this. You can use drywall nuts. You can put these pico remotes. It does come with acrylic, so you can actually, if you don't have a place to screw it in, you can actually glue it on for the most part. And these will pair with your Caséta dimmer. In order to pair it, and I'll leave the lights on for this just because it's pretty simple. In order to pair it, you're going to hold down the bottom button of the main Caséta dimmer. It's a 2-wire, no neutral wire dimmer. The lights will flash after about 10 seconds. You'll see, hopefully. I actually will turn off the lights real quick. Sorry. Show you that the lights are flashing here. So you can see on the Caséta dimmer, lights are flashing to show that it's in pairing mode. You take your pico remote, you hold down the bottom button. The lights on the dimmer will go up and down to show that it has been paired after about 10 seconds. You see it's flashing up and down. We've now created a 3-way. So I don't know who has ever done multi-location installations. I'm assuming this is about as easy as it gets. So anytime you have a crawl space, anything like that, this really is the best way to go with Caséta dimmers. And we do sell a 3-way kit, which I'll show you in just a second. The other thing I want to show, all of our LED Plus dimmers, as I mentioned, have that low-end trim feature. With Caséta, it's no different. In order to adjust the low end, you hold in the on button and the down button at the same time. So on and down for about 6 to 10 seconds. You will see the little LED on the side is going to start to flash. As I mentioned with Sunnata, this is showing you what my bulb is going to look like when the dimmer is at its lowest setting. So you can see the bulb is still kind of bright. I'm going to adjust it down. Just to show you, if I adjust it up, the bulb obviously gets brighter, but I'm going to adjust it down. So turning it down, you have to keep tapping it, unlike Sunnata where you just touch it. You can see it's going to slowly get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, as I mentioned before. So look, I'm actually at the lower setting and the bulb turned completely off, so I'm going to adjust it up just a tad. You can see it's at its lowest dim possible. To get out of this feature mode, you hold in the off button for about 6 to 10 seconds, and we actually just adjusted the low end. I'm hopeful that you all get this out of this presentation. If you didn't already know that that's a patented Lutron feature. I'm going to turn the lights back on. Okay. So as I mentioned, you've got these pico remotes. You can actually pair up to 9 pico remotes with every Caséta dimmer. So you can have a 10-way, so you've got a grand ballroom. These pico remotes are guaranteed to work 30 feet through concrete, 60 feet through open space. Me personally, I've seen it up to 300 feet, and that is no exaggeration. But we want to make sure that we are guaranteeing it. So if you've got a barn outside and you want to control the barn lights from inside your house, there's a very good chance you can do that. The Lutron Pico remotes have a CR2032 coin cell lithium battery. I've seen them for about $2.50 at your local Target. It is guaranteed 10-year battery life. So if you're nervous about batteries, trust me, it's going to last at least 10 years. Okay, what's new with Caséta? So I know that the last year, Mike Mahalik went over some Caséta things. He may have gone over these, but we do have a new Caséta sensor. This takes a CR123 battery, much like Pico's, it's guaranteed to last 10 years. It's a wireless sensor. You could program your sensor to trigger based on the time of day through the app. That is a new feature that we came out with last year. You pair these with one of your Caséta switches, and every time you walk in your bathroom or your garage, have the lights automatically turn on. Just a nice, really new, nice feature that we've added to our Caséta line. The other new that we have is our outdoor smart plug. So this is a 15 amp, it's IP65, and I'll bring this a little bit closer. IP65 and IP66 rated. It will control your small fountains. It will control your outdoor landscape lights. It controls those blow up Christmas lights. So if you are somebody that likes to decorate for every holiday or just for Christmas, this is a must have. You can pair it with a Pico remote inside the house. So me personally, my parents have control their Christmas lights from the basement. They have to go all the way to the basement, turn them on, and then go all the way down to turn them off. This is a set it and forget it with a Pico remote. On top of that, if you have a Caséta bridge, you can set it on your phone, turn them on at sunset, turn them off at sunrise. So you literally can set it and forget it. And to that point, if you have your landscape lights or your patio lights on a Caséta switch or on our new outdoor smart plug, if you have the bridge, it will work as an astronomical time clock. The features of the bridge go beyond, it's also less expensive, but the features I can talk about at length. We have integrated partners, so your Amazon, I don't want to say too loud because she's downstairs, but Amazon Echo, your Google Assistant, your Sonos speakers, we integrate with thermostats. We have a Caséta fan control. You can do everything with voice control. You can set up scenes so that music comes on, your shades go down, your lights dim just by saying, Google, hey Google, set up night scene, or whatever you want it to be. But certainly it is a really nice feature to have that bridge. There's also what's called vacation mode. So if you go on vacation, you could have it look like somebody's living there. You could do it all through the app. And as I mentioned, you could schedule your lights. The newest thing for Caséta, on top of the outdoor smart plug, we recently, not too long ago, announced a Ring integration. Some of the things that you can do with Ring, you can trigger your lights whenever it has motion or sees motion, and you can trigger your lights if your doorbell rings. I cannot talk enough about this product, Caséta. It is something that I own here in my apartment in Philadelphia. I've got about an 8-way in my bedroom. I've got Pico remotes under the pillows for the most part. This is a product I was talking about before. This is our true 3-way kit. This is sold at Billows. What's great about this, the original 3-way kits had the Caséta dimmer with the Clara wall plate and the Pico, but it did not come with the wall box adapters. Many people were constantly going back, having to pick up these wall box adapters. This has it all included. And then of course, the Caséta Smart Bridge gets you started into the system, and then you can expand from there. The last thing I will say, the Caséta lamp dimmer, we do have an extender as well. It's going to cover about a 3,500 square foot home. But this lamp dimmer, you could plug in up to 2 lamps. And then I've just got a plethora of different Picos, one for the Caséta fan control. That is everything I have. Hopefully it was a nice little review, and hopefully you learned a little bit more about Sunnata.
Rob, thank you so much. I know how hard it is to present virtually and kind of speak into a screen. So thank you for keeping your energy up. It was a great presentation. We could see it with the lighting. I have to say, I'm probably going to need to call my electrical contractor to get some of this stuff going in my house, because I'm a huge fan. I've got some automation in my house as well. I tell Google to turn on my lights. I walk into rooms and they go on, lights go on, which can be challenging when you actually go somewhere else, because then you expect these things to happen. But more and more, I suspect we're going to continue to see a big demand with home automation. And certainly it seems like Lutron has quite a competitive edge.
Thank you. So thank you very much for having me. Appreciate everyone jumping on early in the morning. That's all I have. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Rob, thanks so much. Matt, I don't see any questions that have come through in the chat, but what we'll be able to do is make sure that everyone who was registered for this session today, they'll get a copy of the recording. They can share it with their team. In addition, your information, Rob, as well as our contact at Billows, will be shared post event. So everyone will probably receive that information tomorrow. So with that, everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the weekend. Take care.